In this video, we're going to be looking at how we can create the guttering and the downpipes. So here we can see on the porch, we've got this guttering and we've got the downpipe that comes down here. So I'm going to do the same for this front elevation of this building and a downpipe down here. So the first thing I want to do is to actually put the guttering across the top. This is nice and straightforward and simple. So architecture and into roof, and rather than hitting roof, just a little button below it, just drag that down, and then we've got this roof gutter at the bottom here. And you can either click on the bottom of the roof here, which goes blue, or the top, and you want to click on the top ideally. Now that creates the guttering that goes into there. You'll notice that it hasn't got any end caps. We'll deal with that later. The next thing I like to do is to change the roof style ever so slightly. So here you can see on this porch, I've got this plumb cut, and then I've got this seat coming across here. Whereas here, I haven't got the seat cut, I've just got this plumb cut coming down. So to change that, it's nice and easy. So just select the roof itself. And once I've done that, we've got this, in construction, we've got this rafter cut, and it just says plumb cut there. I'm going to change that to the 2 cut plumb, and then give my fascia depth. For this particular roof, I'm going to go 275. But again, you can make yours whatever you want it to be. And you can see now that that actually makes the roof look a lot more realistic by giving us that seat cut as well as the plumb cut on there. So the next job will be to put this downpipe in. We're going to put this in here. So for that, I'm going to go into my ground floor, and when I'm in here, this is where I'm going to place it on here. So this, you'll find this in component, and if you've just got the standard architectural template opened, then it'll be in here. If not, you'll have to load family, but it should be straight there. I'm going to be using the 75mm square, so just click onto that one, and I'm going to place it. And you can move it around once you're done. I'm going to place mine there to start off with. Now, once you've placed it, you can be pretty sure that it's not going to be correct in the right place, and you have to move it around. And we can see here that this one, you can see it goes the wrong way. So the swan neck is actually going inside the roof. So there's 2 ways we can move that around. We can either click on the downpipe, and then we can use our rotate. But you'd be better off being in the ground floor to do that. So you can go rotate, and then you could just click once and then rotate it 180 degrees. And then that brings it so it's coming out the right way. Or you could just use the space bar. So if I Control Z that, and then if I click on it, I can just use the space bar, and that's done exactly the same thing, just spinning it around. Once I've done that, I now need to maneuver it into place and get it all in the right size. So I'm going to use the west elevation for this because I can see it a bit better. Don't like working in 3D. I prefer to work in elevations. I find it a lot more easier to see. So the first thing I need to do is move it to the left so it's closer to the wall. And to do that, I'm just using the left arrow on the keyboard. And then the further in I zoom, the closer I can get it, as in accuracy. It won't sit hard up against the wall. It will sit away from the wall ever so slightly, like so. The next thing I want to do is attach it to the ground. So we can see here it doesn't quite fit. That's because I set my topo solid at with an elevation of -150. So I need to do the same here because it's going down to the ground floor level. So I now need to set into here -150 for mine. If you haven't reduced your topo solid, then that's fine. You won't need to do that element. Next thing I want to do is actually get it so it's the right height, because at the moment we can see it's poking through the top of the guttering. So I'm just going to use the measure tool, which I can find in Modify tab here, or there's a shortcut up here, this measuring tool, exactly same thing. And I'm going to measure from the underside of the guttering. So we can see the guttering here. Measure from the underside of the guttering and take this down to the bottom of where my guttering is, and we can see up here in the top left hand corner, just above properties, we've got total length is 5308. 5308. So now I'm just going to click on this downpipe, and then where's the height of it? Click on the downpipe itself, and in the dimensions, for some reason mine's disappeared. Come on, open up to see it. Sometimes I hit these by mistake, so just if you can't see it, just click these arrows and it'll make it appear again. So in dimensions, it was 5308. So I'm going to go 5308 and then hit apply. And we can now see that it's in line with the underside of there. Now we can see that it doesn't quite line up. I want it to come into the left ever so slightly. So I could just move the whole thing left like that. The other thing I can do is change the angles of all of this and the sizes of this swan neck. To do that, go into Edit Type, and we've again got our head depth. So at the moment it's set at 250. Let's make that 200 just to bring it up a bit closer. And then hit apply and you'll see it move up. So you can see this is now shifted up, and this offset top, this 300mm here, that's what's going to move this in and out without moving the actual downpipe itself. I'll show you that. So if I go 400, you'll see what I mean by that. So then it chucks it straight out. I'm just going to Control Z to bring that back. It won't let me Control Z because I'm in the, so I'm going to change that back to 300, which is my overhang anyhow. So that moves that into there. Once I've done that, click OK, and then back into my 3D, and we can now see we've got this guttering looking quite nice. And this whole eaves area is looking quite nice. The last thing I want to do really is to create these end caps. So when we look in here, we can see that the water could run out. There's no end cap on the guttering. Same down here, you can see we've got this end cap. So we're actually going to model that using extrusion. And again, it's quite straightforward. To do that, I like to go into an elevation so I can see the end of this. And once I've done that, go into architecture and then component. So rather than click on a component, just the arrow below it and then model in place. And I'm just going to choose a generic model. So just scroll down to generic models, double click on that, doesn't matter what it's called. And once I've done this, we're actually going to, on the top left hand side here, we're going to create an extrusion. So click on extrusion, it'll ask you where to pick it. So it says pick a plane, I'm just going to accept that, click OK. And now you need to select where you're going to draw this. So you can see when I hover over things, we can get these little blue lines coming up. What I need to do is make sure that I've got the whole of the guttering like that is blue. It's no good just having one line, the whole thing's got to be blue, just like that. So click on that, and then it will now let me draw. So what I can do is I can either use the pick lines tool, or I can just use a straight line tool. I'm just going to use a straight line tool for this, and I'm going to come down to here. And if these lines are too thick for you, you could use the thin lines tool. I'm quite happy with that, and it needs to be a closed loop. And once I've done this, we can start changing things like the materials. If you're having a different color guttering, for instance, this is where you would change materials and stuff like that. I'm going to leave mine as it is with this black opaque plastics. It will match hopefully everything else that's there. Once I've done that, I'm going to green tick, and we can now see we've got this drawn in. And when I go into 3D, we should be able to see it in there. That's it, looking nice. And what I need to do now is just create the thickness of it. So I can use these little arrow tabs on the end here just to maneuver it around and then change the thickness of that end cap. So I'm going to go with something like that for now. Then once I've done that, I'm just going to go green tick up the top here to finish that model in place. And we can now see we've got that end cap sitting in there like that, which is quite nice. And then I could do the same for the other end, or I could just copy and paste it. So I could just copy that and then paste it down to the other end. And that's my guttering now complete.